You can argue about who was the best player from each sport for hours on end, but there is no debating the financial GOATs. As they say, numbers never lie. And there are some big ones associated with the net worths from athletes on this list. Some of the athletes won't come as a surprise, as they once dominated their respective sports, while others rose to glory with big personalities, sound investments, or a little bit of both. Here are the richest athletes from every major sport of all time. Basketball, Michael Jordan, $1.6 billion. While it shouldn't come as a shock that MJ is number one, you may not know why he finds himself there. It would be fair to assume that a big portion of his wealth came from his NBA contracts, but that's not actually the case. Jordan made less than $100 million through his contracts as a player. Most of his net worth is derived from endorsement deals and investments. One of MJ's best investments has been his one involving the Charlotte Hornets. He bought a majority stake in the team in 2010 in a deal that valued the entire franchise at $175 million. Fast forward 9 years, after plenty of games lost, they were valued at $1.5 billion. So Jordan agreed to sell a minority stake in the team. Another moneymaker from MJ has been the Jordan brand. As of 2015, he was reportedly making $100 million a year from Nike royalties alone. That's more than what he made over his entire storied NBA playing career. And just like that playing career, Michael Jordan stays winning with his money. Tennis, TIRIAC, $1.3 billion. He may be the only name on this list that the casual sports fan doesn't recognize, but I don't think TIRIAC is too concerned about that with how rich he is. After a moderately successful professional tennis career, Ian managed other top players such as Guillermo Vilas, Marat Safin, and Boris Becker. He also became a businessman, a very successful one. Ian had never earned more than a few $1,000,000 as a professional athlete, but that quickly changed after the falling of the Berlin Wall. Within 2 years, he was worth over $100 million. He heads the TIRIAC Group, which has interests in real estate, auto, financial services, and more. Golf, Tiger Woods, $800 million. Similar to MJ, Tiger is arguably the GOAT of his sport, but most of his wealth comes from his sponsorships. His golf earnings in 2020 were only $2.3 million, which is obviously a lot of money, but not much in comparison to his net worth as a whole. He made $60 million from endorsements in the same year. By being the face of golf, Tiger's list of sponsors is a doozy. Just to name a few, there is Nike, TaylorMade, Upper Deck, and Rolex. Woods started making money off of these endorsements at a young age too. He turned pro at the age of 20 and immediately signed deals with Nike and Titleist that ranked as the most lucrative endorsement contracts in golf history at the time. His success on the course and popularity off of it only grew from there as he became one of the hottest names in all of sports, not just golf. Football, Roger Staubach, $600 million. Staubach had quite the football career as he made 6 Pro Bowls, won 2 Super Bowls, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those feats are even more impressive when you realize that he was building a real estate empire at the same time. Staubach didn't retire from the NFL until 1979, and he worked for a real estate company during his off seasons from 1970 to 1977 until he started his own commercial real estate business in '77 called the Staubach Company. Roger ended up buying out the company he worked for during those off seasons in 1982. He served as the chairman and CEO of the Staubach Company until 2007. In 2008, the company was sold for $613 million. Soccer, Cristiano Ronaldo, $500 million. Ronaldo is a true rags to riches story in terms of his soccer career and financial wealth. He grew up on an island in Portugal and was the youngest of 4 children where money was tight for the family. Now, he is viewed as one of the best soccer players in the world and worth $500 million. As one of the top guys in the world's most popular sport, Ronaldo makes his money from both soccer contracts and endorsements. In 2020, he earned $120 million, with around $70 million coming from his salary and $50 million from deals with companies such as Nike, Herbalife, and Clear Shampoo. Back in 2016, Ronaldo signed one of the most lucrative endorsement deals of all time with Nike. It was a $1 billion lifetime deal. Specific terms of it was not public knowledge, but it is rumored that the deal came with a $100 million signing bonus. Boxing, Floyd Mayweather, $450 million. When someone has the nickname of Floyd Money Mayweather and a brand called the Money Team, they have to be loaded. It also helps when they have never lost in 50 career matches. Unlike the other athletes on this list, Floyd's money didn't come from investments or endorsements. He only earns around $10 million a year from endorsements. Mayweather's money comes from his promotability in the actual ring. Floyd earned $250 million in 2015 after fighting Manny Pacquiao and $300 million fighting Conor McGregor in 2017. His career earnings are over $1 billion. million. You may be wondering why he's worth under $500,000 then. Well, just because he's good at earning money doesn't mean that he is responsible with it after the fact. In March of 17, the IRS claimed Mayweather owed over $22 million, and Floyd claimed he didn't have enough liquid cash to cover the debt. Baseball, Alex Rodriguez, $350 million. During his playing career, A-Rod earned over $400 million and under $50 million from endorsements. For comparison, his Yankee counterpart Derek Jeter earned around $130 million from endorsements. It just goes to show how Rodriguez was a star of the sport, but not as marketable because of the public's feelings towards him as a result of his steroid scandal. Most of A-Rod's endorsement money came before that controversy. He did sign a couple of monster contracts back in the day. In 2000, he signed a deal with the Texas Rangers worth $252 million over 10 years before signing a new 10-year contract worth $275 million with the Yankees in 2007. Both were record-breaking contracts for all of sports at the time. There was a point where A-Rod was one of the most disliked figures in sports during his infamous steroid scandal. Now, he's filthy rich, engaged to Jennifer Lopez, and people generally like him again. Talk about a comeback story. NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt Jr., $300 million. Through his late father and his own racing career, Dale Jr. became a NASCAR icon. He's a name that even some people who aren't fans of the sport recognize. His popularity was very beneficial for him and helped him with endorsements, as he was voted NASCAR's most popular driver 13 consecutive times. At the peak of his racing career, Dale Jr. earned $25 to $30 million per year, with around $22 million coming from endorsements. He was the highest paid driver in NASCAR from 2008 to 2015. By the time he retired from racing in 2017, Dale Jr. had earned $410 million during his career through endorsements and winnings. Hockey, Wayne Gretzky, $250 million. Referred to as the greatest hockey player of all time, Gretzky is also the richest. Over the course of his 20-year playing career, Gretzky earned $46 million from his salary and around $50 million from endorsements. He didn't just sit on this money once he retired. Wayne invested his money in a handful of ways, such as sports team ownership, real estate ventures, a vineyard, and much more. Gretzky even has a couple of restaurants. A versatile and dominant player on the ice, his investments are very similar. MMA, Conor McGregor, $120 million. When you combine McGregor's skill and personality, you get a money-making machine. He was exactly what the MMA was looking for and then some. Conor is so marketable that he made roughly $100 million in a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather in 2017 and $50 million from a fight against Khabib the following year. Between June of 2017 and 2018, McGregor earned around $14 million from endorsements with big-name companies such as Burger King, Beats by Dre, and Anheuser-Busch. While Conor now lives like a king, that was not always the case. Only a few weeks prior to his MMA debut, McGregor was living off of welfare in Ireland, collecting $235 checks per week from the government. Conor has definitely come a long way and has let everybody know about it.